Good afternoon, everyone. Could I have your attention? Could you take your seats, please? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to see everybody here. I'm Holly Thier, Mayor. My council members here are Isaac Nickfar, and Jack and Alice. We are missing one, and I'd like to also introduce you to our supervisor for District 3, Stephanie Moulton-Peters, who is joining us this evening and has been instrumental in working on this forum. I also see Jane Cooper in the back, Mayor of Belvedere. If there is another elected official in the room, could you please raise your hand and state your office and name? Go ahead.
Vice Mayor of Belvedere.
Thank you.
And here.
Sally Wilkinson, Vice Mayor of Belvedere.
Sally Wilkinson, Vice Mayor of Belvedere.
Sky, Reed Union School Board Trustee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aaron, hello.
Yes, and I think we have one more.
Peter Mark, council member of Belvedere.
And Pat Terapia, council member of Belvedere.
Great, and yes. go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm not elected, but I'm head of the yellow bus program that operates all the school buses here in Tiburon.
I still think you're elected, Bob, so I don't know. Anyway, so that is how you don't leave anyone out. We also have the, go ahead.
City Council, Mill Valley.
Great. And we also have our superintendent of Reed Schools here, right here in front. And I think Urban Carmel is also here. Would you like to introduce yourself, Urban? Great. So welcome, everybody. And to all the members of our public, we are very happy that you're here tonight. So tonight is about Caltrans giving our community a voice in the SR 131 project. Now, I know that many here tonight are upset. We feel ignored. Maybe, some people are just hopping mad right now, right? Perhaps a call was not returned. Perhaps a letter went unanswered. And it's super frustrating. But Caltrans is actually here tonight to have a conversation and to respect our vision. So I want you to join me tonight in ensuring that we have a safe project, a project that figures out how we're going to account for pedestrians, school buses, bikes. I want you to join me in ensuring a project that actually meets the needs of our future generations. And I want you to join me in having our voices heard this evening. And that is everybody's voice. I want to thank Supervisor Moulton-Peters for her amazing work in arranging this forum. If you don't know what she does, she is the supervisor for Southern Marin. And I have worked with her for a long time, but on this forum alone, we were in such close contact, and she's just amazing. And we are lucky to have her leading up our Southern Marin region. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge you and really thank you for your leadership and all the work you do every day, and especially on this forum. I want to take a moment to thank Caltrans. I'm going to introduce two of our representatives that are speaking tonight for making this forum a reality and showing up. And I want to thank each and every one of you. We got all of your emails. We got all of your comments. And we read everything. So all of us, have been reading everything. And we really appreciate that input. And I know that together we're going to create a great project of which that we can all be proud of. Now, those of you who know me know that broadband is a key project of mine in our town. I started this effort to bring broadband here to Tiburon during the pandemic when I saw that children could not connect to get to school, parents could not connect to get to work. We have one provider in Tiburon. The provider oversold accounts. There's not enough infrastructure to support all the accounts, and our service is very expensive because there's a monopoly. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up tonight is because I have asked Caltrans to include broadband in this project. And I'm asking again that broadband will be included again in the project tonight. The reason why this is so important is that you all know we have the worst traffic on Tiburon Boulevard. And that's an issue that we need to fix. We've got a traffic study going on. We have the yellow bus JPA working every day to mitigate traffic as well. But broadband will allow for adaptive traffic signals. And what that means is that that will allow us to reduce traffic on Tiburon Boulevard and along Highway 101. It will allow us to see traffic in real time and adjust the timing of signals and other benefits. So that's why that's important. So tonight, I'm going to ask you to be respectful. I'm going to ask everyone to finish speaking when the buzzer buzzes. We have about 60 people that want to speak here tonight and another 37 online. So we have an hour and a half for this meeting. And so we're going to 30 seconds a person. And we are all super excited to hear your ideas, but I'm going to ask you to please stop when the buzzer buzzes so we don't have to say, please stop, because you're taking time away from your fellow person. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to ask if Supervisor Moulton Peters would like to make some comments, then I'm going to introduce Caltrans.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. Just a couple of comments. I have been following this project, and I know that there have been some real issues with public input. And Caltrans is aware of that. That's why they're here tonight. And that is also why I suggested to the mayor that we invite members from the other communities along the highway, Belvedere, of course, and Mill Valley, so that we've got the entire group of decision makers who are giving input to this project, as well as the school district. So I will represent the county. Some of you live in the unincorporated area, so that's my role, as well as, you know, hoping that we can come together, listen to what's being posed tonight, give input, and then find a way forward together that will work for everyone. We may not solve everything tonight, and I'm aware of that, and we have a place to go with issues that remain unresolved, and I think that'll be a good part of the process. So, you know, if everyone can just assume good intentions here, that we are here to listen and respond, and we will do it. I do think it's important to understand we have some time pressures to retain the funding, and that is real. And with the way that the state and the federal government budgets are going right now, losing funding is really not a good option, because getting it back will be a hard thing. So that, the mayor's project and broadband, which I support, I most of all prioritize safety along with the rest of you. So anyway, let's proceed. We're all in this together, and I think we can find a way to make it work. Thank you.
Do that later. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce the first set of speakers. We have Wajahat Nayaz from Caltrans, who is the Deputy Director of Design. After that will be Don Nguyen, who is the Director of Program and Project Management. After that will be Wendy Callens from Safe Routes to School, and they are all right here in front of you. So please go ahead. There will be a presentation by Caltrans followed by public comment.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Wajahat Niaz, and I am the Deputy District Director for Design for Caltrans District 4. And today I'll be making a short presentation, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, regarding our SR 131, which is Tiburon Boulevard CAPM project. Sorry. Regarding our SR 131, which is Tiburon Boulevard CAPM project. CAPM means shop reservation project. These projects are meant to rehabilitate the existing roadway. So next slide, please. So today's agenda, my agenda is, I'll briefly go over the project overview. Then I will talk about the community feedback. We have prepared a summary for that. And then we'll talk about delivery phases. Then we'll talk a little bit about community coordination and next steps. And then the most important thing is our last step, which is number 5. We want to hear from you. Next step, next slide, please. So just to give you a 10-second preview of what the CAPM projects are. These projects are designed to preserve existing pavement and extend service lives of the pavement. That's the primary purpose of this program. They're not intended for major geometric changes or for projects that require a lot of significant amount of right-of-way. So they are supposed to be limited in scope. And the funding, the program that funds this is called the Shop Reservation Program. And this program has some restrictions. So the funding has some restrictions, meaning one key thing would be we could not fund improvements outside of the state right-of-way, for example. The other thing, they all have an expiry date. So they're all programmed and they're expired, and you have to design and make sure your project is ready and go get the money within that time frame. If you're unable to do that, then you lose the funding, and then you'll have to compete for it again. This particular project has an estimate of $12.7 million construction capital. So this is what's online here, $12.7 million. Next slide, please. So this is a project location. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Starts at 101 and all the way to the end of Tuberon Boulevard. Next slide, please. So I'll quickly go over the scope of the current project. So our current project is to rehabilitate pavement 12.5 miles, 12.5 lane miles. This is a sizable project. We'll be widening SR 131 between Blackie Pasture Road and Reed Ranch in westbound direction for class 2 bike, a little sliver widening, not a whole lot. We'll be upgrading guardrails along the entire corridor. I have an interactive map that I will show you where these things are. Many of these things are. We'll be upgrading 42, the project's supposed to upgrade 42 curb ramps, create pedestrian refuge islands, and about 100 linear feet of sidewalk. The project will upgrade signage, improve pavement delineation, modify electrical systems, and one of the key things is to install a mix of class 1, class 2, and class 4 bike lanes, a total of 5.5 miles. And then there will be, at 4 intersections, we have some select improvements. They're not very extensive, but there's some improvements for safety reasons. Next slide, please. So this map here shows the map of the bike lanes. This is from 101 to Trestle Glen. This is the area where we have bike lanes. The one in yellow are class 4. One in blue is class 2. And the one in green is class 1. So this is what we intend to do as part of this project. Now, one of the key nuances here is that, you know, when you say class 4 protected, that's fine, it's protected. But when you come at an intersection, then there's mixing of traffic. It's not fully protected. When you are at a bus stop, there's mixing. So that's why there's a note there, right, which says that mixing zones are not shown, but there are mixing zones. This is an urban corridor. There are lots of intersections. There are lots of bus stops. So there will be quite a few zones where we are mixing. Next slide, please. So community feedback. Now I have listed about 9 stakeholders here, and there could be more, but we received letter from many of you. We looked at them. I have a little table where I compiled, sort of consolidated all the issues. The last coordination has been going on since 2023. In fact, I've seen some letters that are even predates 2023, but actively since 2023. Last coordination meeting was on April 21st, and we had a presentation for Mill Valley on May 21st. Next slide, please. So let's go over the issues, right? For all stakeholders, this was a common theme: need for a consistent, safe design and a better coordination. So we hear you there. Concern about abrupt and inconsistent bikeway transitions. Now, for Marine Transit, there were 2 main concerns: the bus-bike conflicts and ADA at bus stops. So conflict for the class 4 was at 7 locations, and then there are 21 bus stop locations where there are ADA issues. For the school district, the safety for school children, safe loading and unloading at bus stop. Now this kind of overlaps with Marine Transit's concern. Next slide, please. For Tubron, they identified aesthetics. Can you go back? Aesthetics. They had median preservation was one of the things that they wanted to preserve the median. Bike lane transition between class 1 and class 4. There are concerns about how these things are transitioning, and that safety at Trestle Glen, they needed a crosswalk and additional push button. So I'm going to go quickly now. For Mill Valley, the issue is right at the interchange where we have a narrow bridge. And there was a concern that what you have promised in the environmental document is not what's shown in the current plans. Next slide, please. The bike group. Bike group had concern, while we want to have 5 foot, minimum 5 foot class 4, they wanted a two-way bike path at a certain location. They were concerned about the speed limit. Protected intersections is one of the big concerns they raised. Bus stop that overlaps with other folks' concerned. Then lane width reduction is another. They wanted the lanes to go from 12 foot to 11 foot. And then Belvedere concern was traffic study. They are doing a traffic study, and they wanted to ensure that the results of the traffic study could be incorporated into the project. Okay, next slide, please. So looking at this, it's pretty obvious that we have to work more with you guys to flush out all these issues and figure out what would be the best project. So our proposal right now is to phase it, to do it in 2 phases, and that's our option 1. The first phase is to take the project that we have right now and deliver most of the scope that's in it, and include some of the asks you have, and which includes most of the pavement rehabilitation. I mean, that was part of the original scope. Mix of class 1, class 2, class 1, and class 4 bike lanes. Safety elements like guardrails and narrowing lanes. Narrowing lanes was one of your requests. We can do that. Class 2 bike at 101 to Brown Boulevard interchange. We can do that. And then the big one that came in pretty late is incorporate broadband. Then what we will do is we will program another project in fiscal year 2027, in which we will address all the other issues. Now, we can't promise you that we can address every single thing you ask. We have restriction on the type of the funding we have, but what we'll be doing is we'll be working with you to address these issues. So, for example, bent outs at the bus stops to separate the bikes from the pedestrian transits. Bus stop ADA modifications, we can work on that. Complete the gap in the 4 class 4 bike lanes. And also, to a limited extent, do protected intersection where it is possible, where we don't need a whole lot of new right-of-way. Construct some protected intersection with limited, vertical elements and striping. Next slide, please. So that's our option 1. Our option 2 will be, okay, let's stop the pause on the project. No project now. Go back to the drawing table and then deliver the whole thing, our project, your project in 2027, 28, right? There are risks with that. The risks are that funding availability. Remember, we will lose this $12.7 million. When we ask for it, we will ask 24.7 plus whatever else we need, right? If we go the first option approach, we ask for what we need additional, not this 12.7. And we are able to preserve the pavement. So if we preserve the pavement, then future repair of the pavement. If for instance, if we wait 2 years out, the pavement condition is going to deteriorate. The pavement rehab cost will be higher. So pavement will deteriorate, and that has a cost associated with it. Secondly, we might have to do emergency repairs. If we have a big storm, you got potholes, you got drainage failures, then all of that will have to be done emergency. That will cause traffic disruption, cost us more money. So our proposal is that we go with phase 1, option 1, which is to phase the two projects. Now, next slide, please. So I have an interactive slide. I'll quickly go over this to show you what we are going to do, because there was concern from a lot of people that we don't understand your plans. We don't know what you're doing, right? So we prepared a sort of interactive slides. It's going to take about a minute or two to go through, and I'll show you what we are planning on doing here. So in the phase one. Oh, can I get a microphone? Thank you very much. So in phase one, we are going to do, and I'm going to click here. We are going to do the cold plane and the overlay of the roadway and narrowing of the lane. That will be one thing we'll do. The second thing will be we'll upgrade the curb ramps. These are the locations where we'll upgrade the curb ramp. So if I were to click at one location, you can see. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Upgrade curb ramps. This is very sensitive. Hold on. So upgrade guardrail. These are the locations. I'm going to click at one of these boxes. It's not showing up. I don't know why it's not showing up there. It's showing up here. Yeah. Well, I am in the presentation mode. Yeah. So I'm sorry. This it is showing. I'm sorry. It is showing up here, but it's not showing up there. So I'll just talk through this.
Thank you from the technology department in the back.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that. It was working here. I couldn't see it. Anyway, if I click here, this will show you where we are upgrading the guardrail. So this will be an example, right? If I go to here, you can see the other locations we are upgrading the guardrail. Anyway, let me go to the next one. For example, curb ramps. Curb ramps. Here are all the locations where we're doing curb ramps, and I'll just pick one box. And these are locations where we're going to upgrade curb ramps. And we have curb ramps. Yeah.
They're the ramps that people can wheel across at the corners of the blocks.
So these are locations where we'll do drainage modifications. And there are different kinds of drainage modifications. So I can go to one, for instance, and you can see that you can see where the points are, where we are doing some sort of drainage modification. Then let's go to the most important one, bikeways. So here is a map for the bikeways. And I think I showed you a similar map. If I were to click here, so this is a bus stop, right? This is the current condition. Now the basic one, it's going to look like that. That's the one we are doing right now. That's what it's going to look like. If you see up here, there are bollards separated. But when it comes near a bus stop like that, there are no bollards. In the future, what we'll do in phase two, we could do this, or we could do this, and we will work collaboratively with you guys to figure this out. Make sense? Right. Now we'll do a similar thing at other locations. So this is just an example. Let me go back. Let's look at intersection modifications. So these are locations we are modifying the intersections, and I'll pick one. So this is the intersection right now. Proposed is, this is proposed. Here we are mixing traffic. Now, what we will speculative, depending on how we work together. This is something that we will probably end up doing, depending on how much right of way you have and what we can do. But you got to remember that when we are doing intersection modifications, it has to be limited.
Wajahat, can you describe some of the improvements in the slide you just showed? Can you go back? There are things like bulb outs and things for pedestrians that I'm not sure everybody knows about.
Okay, hold on. Let's go here. So here, for instance, we have bulb outs, right? You can see we are constructing bulb outs here and here and curb ramps. And you'll have to look at the detailed plan to see every location. For instance, here, what we are doing is just a crosswalk.
Yeah,
Right.
would be great if you could explain what a bulb out is.
This one here. First diagram. This one, right? So when we are talking about bulb outs, for instance, if we do this,
So, yeah.
see this one here, that's a bulb out right there. The one right now.
So the advantage of bulb outs is that they shorten the crossing for pedestrians and they get you farther out where you, as a pedestrian, have better visibility about the traffic on the road. So you have a better sense of when it's safe to cross. And the motorists can see you better too, but you're protected because you're on a curb, a raised curb. So that's the advantage. They shorten the crossing, better visibility for everybody.
And obviously motor vehicles who are turning have to slow down a little bit more.
Right, Jack.
So we will be working with you on these solutions. I think that's the message I'm trying to convey. That what we have right now is very limited. We understand that. But as our phase 2 project, we'll be working you to find these kinds of solutions that we can fund and that can also improve safety.
We're not going to have people yelling in the audience, so that's not time for questions. I'm going to let the presentation finish, and then you'll have an opportunity to speak in public comment.
Okay, let me quickly go to what we're going to do in phase 2. So phase 2, we are dropping a few curb ramps right now, about 8 of them, for utility conflict and right-of-way reasons. So we will do those. That is the remaining curb ramp. We will do some sidewalk improvements in coordination with you people. All remaining drainage improvements. We have a few drainage improvements, culverts that we are dropping right now. We'll take care of those. There's some electrical message signs. Then the biggest thing will be the bus bike conflict. We'll address all of those. And then we'll do the bus stops at ADA improvements. And then we will do the protected intersection, which is limited, just what I talked about. So if I go back, to my presentation. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, next step. So what are we going to do next step? First week, we will, for the phase 1, we will update the plans for the phase 1. Next thing we intend to do is incorporate the broadband scope. But the key thing here for incorporating the broadband scope is we need 100% plans for the broadband. And since we have a very short amount of time remaining, it's important that the broadband plans are complete so that we can incorporate them. And then secondly, of course, the cooperative agreement to fund the work. Once we have a cost estimate, we need to make sure we have enough money in order to fund the work. Then phase one construction will be on 2026. What in phase two is we'll work with you all stakeholders to come up with a scope of phase two. And the big things here are how do we handle mixing? How do we handle bus transit conflict? How do we handle protected intersection? What we can do about protected intersection? And I think all those things are big safety elements. So now we want to hear from you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Wendy Callens from Safe Routes to School is going to do a very short presentation, and then we are going to hear from each and every one of you. If you have not signed in, we're doing this sign-in so we can figure out how much time everyone can have to speak and to make sure we don't miss anybody. If you have not signed in, please sign in. The sheets are on the table. Also, this will be used to provide later project information to you and to invite you to anything in the future regarding the project.
Okay,
Wendy, yes.
thank you. Whoa. Is it on? Yes, good. All right. Hi, my name is Wendy Callens. I'm the Task Force Coordinator for the Safe Routes to Schools program. Safe Routes to Schools is a program of the Transportation Authority of Marin. I've been asked to outline the Marin Safe Routes to Schools involvement with the Caltrans project on Highway 131 or Tiburon Boulevard. Safe Routes to Schools has been working with Caltrans on this for over a decade, even before the paving project began. Safe Routes to Schools has task forces in every school district in Marin. Each task force consists of representation from the city's public works departments, police departments, elected official. Each school district has one representative each from the school board and the staff, and it also includes the Safe Routes parent volunteers and any community members with interest in school travel. And I'm cutting this down in the interest of time, so I've taken some things out. So our first meeting addressing Tiburon Boulevard was a decade ago when we held a virtual walkout audit right here. We had it up on the screen and we looked at all of Tiburon Boulevard. And Caltrans representatives did attend this meeting. And from there, we created an issue list of all the improvements that were identified. And these included 8 different intersections on the road. So when Caltrans announced that the repaving project, we took advantage of this opportunity to ask them to address these issues. And many of the issues that we have asked for, you just saw, are now in the project. We also saw that there were just Class 2 bike lanes on Tiburon Boulevard, and we requested that they be upgraded to Class 4 or protected bike lanes. We also provide suggested route maps for all our schools. These are created through a workshop with school representatives to identify the common routes to schools. These are then vetted by the town engineers and reviewed by the task force. The suggested routes for the school children along this corridor are Greenwood Cove, Greenwood Beach Road, and the old rail trail. Plus, we've identified some back roads for the students that live on the north side of Tiburon Boulevard using the steps, lanes, and paths that exist there. In discussions with the task force and with neighbors on Greenwood Beach Road, it was agreed that locating the fast-moving bicyclists to Tiburon Boulevard would create a safer environment for the school children and inexperienced bicyclists on Greenwood Beach and Cove roads, and would make designating those roads for school travel more amenable to the neighbors. In addition to task forces, Safe Routes to Schools also offers safety classes during regular PE in 2nd, 4th, and 6th grade, instructing students on safe walking and bicycle behavior. 2nd grade classes focus on pedestrian safety. 4th grade lessons introduce bicycle safety, focusing on safe riding practices, which includes an in-class presentation and a hands-on bike rodeo to reinforce the skills. Then in 6th grade, we build on these prior lessons and students learn in the classroom and on the bike with an emphasis on understanding traffic laws and riding confidently. Safe Routes to Schools has also been actively involved in discouraging the Type 2 throttle bikes, e-bikes, that middle school students have been using. So, and then we've encouraged the middle schools to create a registry program to remove them from the campuses. We also participated in the county task force that resulted making those bikes illegal in Marin County for anyone under 16, which will be implemented on July 1st. And there'll be a whole education program that goes along with it. Safe Routes to Schools, by its very name, makes safety of the utmost importance. We look forward to the improvements on Tiburon Boulevard in order to make the journey to school safer for students walking and biking to school on the suggested routes of Greenwood Cove, Beach, and the old rail trail, and to improve the crossings along the boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I have the route maps here.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to take some public comment. I'm going to ask our town clerk first to poll online to see how many individuals would like to speak online, so we can give you guys the maximum amount of time to speak tonight.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. If you're calling in online, just so we can get a sense of how many speakers we have tonight, and you would like to speak, please raise your hand now. You can press the raise hand button on your webinar controls bar on the bottom of your Zoom window or on your smartphone screen. If you're on a phone, you can dial *9 to raise your hand. So I'm seeing some hands going up. Just give it a second here. So again, if you're online and you would like to speak tonight, please raise your hand now so we can get a sense of our number of speakers. Madam Mayor, I'm seeing 4 hands right now. Online.
Okay, great. That puts us at 45 speakers, which is perfect. We can now double your time and go to a minute each. So I'm going to call people up, and I will ask that you be ready or come up shortly. The first speaker is Sally Pasternak, followed by Becky Pringle, David. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sally's not speaking. Becky, sorry, Sally. Becky Pringle is the first speaker, followed by David McCoy. And then we have Warren Wells. After that is Wendy Anderlew, Tom Nauer, Mike Shepard, and Terrell Culloway. Okay, is Becky here? Becky Pringle? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next person. Oh, you don't want to speak? Okay, if you want to speak later, just tell us, Becky. Okay, perfect. Okay, David McCory, are you here? Great. Yes, please come up to the microphone. You'll hear. Welcome.
Are really impressed by all the organization and all of the dedication that everybody has given to this issue. It's really cool. We live on Greenwood Beach Road and we really love it. It's super cool. The activity is really intense for the safety between the mixed use of everything happening there between the kids, the dogs, fast moving bikes, vehicles, and we think that the Class 4 bike lanes on Tiburon Boulevard are an awesome solution, and we hope that it happens, and I will pass along the rest of my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tier, Council, my name is Warren Wells. I'm the Policy and Planning Director for the Marin County Bicycle Coalition. I wanted to just say that I really appreciate Caltrans' presentation. Bike lanes have been planned on Tiburon Boulevard for over 50 years at this point. I'm really happy to see them moving forward. I'll keep things brief. You know, I don't always, as a bike coalition, I don't always see eye to eye with Caltrans, but I really do think that they deserve praise for taking this opportunity to improve a road for all users rather than just repaving it. And I hope we can help them move this project forward. The phase approach they described today seems like a sensible one to ensure the road gets repaved without losing funding, giving us more time to help develop a design with information from our stakeholders that gets us to the safe Tiburon Boulevard that we all deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now I have Winnie Anderlew. Hi, friends. You're used to hearing from me. 90% of the controversy in this project is the section between Trestle Glen and Blackfield. This is the section that creates issues for the yellow bus program in the Tiburon schools. It creates increased bike and car conflicts at the intersection of Trestle Glen, Reed Ranch, Cecilia, and Jefferson. This section is also completely unnecessary because of Greenwood Beach Road, which is a safer, more beautiful, and already established bike route. For all of you bikers who are here, you might not realize this, but it's the section where you turn, if you're coming into town, you turn right at the Union 76, and it's that lovely street where Lifert House is. Even the Marin Bike Coalition noted, no doubt that many people will still choose to travel along the side street, and nothing in the proposed project will force riders to travel on Tiburon Boulevard. Taking an eraser to that section of bike lane on your plans cannot set this project back 2 years, and it should actually save Caltrans some money. Caltrans has not published a project plan to the public. I will also note that. So there are some other outstanding issues like a left-hand speed up lane off of Cecilia that I'm just not even sure if that's been addressed or not. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Tom Nauer, followed by Mike Shepard and Terrell Culloway.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Knauer. My family and I are long-term residents of the Bel Air neighborhood, more than 20 years. We walk, run, cycle Greenwood Beach Road on a daily basis. My son's commuted to Del Mar School. And so, we're very familiar with that path and the traffic that's on there. I'm also an avid cyclist. I'm a member of the Marin Bike Coalition and also the Coyotes Tiburon Bike Club. And so I want to make the point that while I share the goals of the Bike Coalition to get better and safer access, I strongly oppose this project for a variety of reasons. First of all, I want to make sure that people understand, again, we are the local residents. Many of my club members are here and are also in opposition. We use that path much more regularly than anybody else outside of Tiburon. We see the traffic on and off, and many of our kids use that path. The fact of the matter is that creating a bike lane is not going to have the majority of the users on Tiburon Boulevard. Neither the kids nor the recreational cyclists nor my commuter friends will be using that. They've unequivocally stated that. So therefore, if we see only 5 or 10% of the traffic, maybe 20% move to Tiburon Boulevard, it's really not going to change the issue. So I think we have a much better solution in addressing Greenwood Beach Road, cleaning it up, putting bike lanes or improving the access there, and limiting the speed of both the cars and the cyclists to make it an overall safer plan. Final anecdote here is yesterday and today I rode there, saw multiple kids on their way to and from soccer practice and so on. The fact of the matter is that the kids are going to continue to use that. The recreational cyclists, for the large part, especially the Tiburon and Belvedere residents, are going to continue to use that road. So let's not throw money at a project that is not going to be used and instead solve the problem on Greenwood Beach Road. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have our mayor of San Anselmo. Oh, wait. Okay, you're first. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry. Mike, I just made you mayor of San Anselmo. Go ahead, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mike Shepard.
Tiburon Boulevard, seriously congested. I am a bike rider too. I think Greenwood Beach is better, but if you go ahead and do this project, please trade something off out of phase 2 to get the bike bypasses into phase 1, because otherwise we will strangle during phase 1. We will just strangle. And second, if the project goes ahead, please, it's going to slow down traffic. Okay, fair enough. Accommodates everybody, safer. It's going to slow down traffic. Please phase the lights better and change the timing of the light at Trestle Glen, which backs up 5 light phases in one direction and never on Trestle Glen. And you can solve a whole lot of the traffic problem that way and speed things up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we have the mayor of San Anselmo, Terrell Culloway.
Carol Calloway, Mayor of San Anselmo, but I'm also the Executive Director of Marin County Bicycle Coalition, and that's also why I'm here. I just want to call out, so Wendy Callens, you might not know this, but she is one of the co-founders of Safe Routes to Schools. That program started in Marin County. It's now nationwide. I am super proud of that program, and I feel like their process for bringing a project like this to fruition, along with the leadership of Stephanie Moulton Peters, is to really be commended. It brings so many different people to the table, and like she said, they've been talking about it for 10 years. They have police there, they have fire there, they have the superintendents of schools, they have parents, they have all kinds of people at these meetings deciding these projects. I'm very excited by what I saw in your phase 2 and your bypass lanes. I think you've been really listening to what people have been saying over the past few months. It could have been done differently, but we're really proud of it, and I'm stoked to ride it, so thanks.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Okay, now we have Brian Anderlew, followed by Bill Hoppen and Bob McCaskill.
Hello there. Hi, I'm Brian Anderlew. I live up Reed Ranch Road. I'm also focused mostly on the part of the project, the bike lanes that are between Blackfield and Trestle Glen. But I have to step back and say, how did we get here? We're at a 95% point where we're worried about losing money and pushing things into phase 2 and assuming we'll get that money. Is that money going to happen? And phase 2 is 3 years out. That doesn't really satisfy me. I think we need to understand that it's our road in Tiburon and Belvedere. This is the heart, this is the veins and the arteries of our town. And we need to get this right and take our time. And $12.7 million, whether we might lose it or might not, that's $1,000 a person in town. It's not worth getting something wrong because we're worried about losing some money. Let's get this right. If we snarl traffic and make things unsafe or put kids on e-bikes out on Tiburon Boulevard, people going 45 miles an hour and someone dies, that's not the right answer. Second, are we really talking about reducing the width of our lanes, our car lanes, and reducing the speed limit when traffic is a major issue in this town? I just don't think we're on the right path. I appreciate Caltrans trying for phase 2, but that's 3 years down the road. That's uncertain. We're going to have to live with this for years until that happens. Let's pause. Let's get this right. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now moving on to Bill Hoppen, Bob McCaskill, and I'm sorry, it looks like Mike Power, but I'm having trouble reading that.
I'm going to start before my time so I get a little extra time. So I'm Bill Hoppen. I'm part of the Traffic Mobility Advisory Committee in Mill Valley. I'm a longtime Mill Valley resident. I want to thank Stephanie Moulton Peters for giving us an opportunity to really dig into this. And one of the things that I think is really important is a protected bike lane across 101, the corridor from Mill Valley into Tiburon, that pathway. In 2020, we built that protected bike lane there with the idea that it would be completed as a Class 4 protected bike lane that's going to create a lot of safer routes for Mill Valley Middle School and other kids to get to school, to get to activities. So that's the key area there. I also want to thank Caltrans for really listening, and it seems like you're open. That's awesome. But again, I think having this forum and having an opportunity to really improve that particular area is of most importance for me as a Mill Valley resident. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Bob. Followed by Rich Steele. Followed by Gary Fisher and Jake Steinman.
I'm Bob McCaskill, chair of the public agency that operates the yellow school buses in Belvedere and Tiburon. Our agency created the current yellow bus system with buses serving 20 different routes to and from our 3 local schools. In recent years, up to 50% of the students at these schools have taken our buses to and from school, dramatically reducing congestion on Tiburon Boulevard. The effectiveness of this program is now threatened by the proposed Caltrans plan to install bike lanes on both sides of Tiburon Boulevard between Trestle Glen and Blackfield Drive. Due to safety risks to students and cyclists, the company providing our buses and drivers will not allow their buses to cross or stop in the proposed bike lanes. That would eliminate all of our Tiburon Boulevard bus stops between Trestle Glen and the Union Gas Station at Blackfield. Thus, our agency, along with the school district, along with Marin Transit and others, strongly opposes the addition of the proposed bike lanes between Trestle Glen and Blackfield Drive. Why would we want to hamstring the most effective program that we have for reducing congestion on Tiburon Boulevard? I just don't understand it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask people to hold their applause. And I'm going to call on Rich Steele, followed by Gary Fisher, Jake Steinman, Greg Moore, and Nancy Peterson.
Hi, Rich Steele. I live right here up Lyford. I've been a bike commuter on Tiburon Boulevard for about 19 years. I've probably ridden that project stretch more than anyone in this room, although I have some competition. I was the Marin County Bike Commuter of the Year, so I speak with some expertise on this. I also oppose, believe it or not, the this limited section of the bike path between Trestle Glen and the 76 station. And I do think a suitable alternative already exists that more than handles the demand. I don't see a conflict with kids and cyclists and faster cyclists on that road. I mix with them all the time and it's not a problem. I do, however, support the rest of the project, and I think it's important. I think a lot of people here are opposing that, and I don't want that to be misread as opposition to the entire project, especially the gentleman from Mill Valley who talked about the route over the Tiburon Y, which has frankly been made worse by what Caltrans did a few years ago with the double merging onto the freeway. That area is, it's just an accident waiting to happen. Literally, I've had many, many near misses there, and we need to have protected lanes there and the rest of the boulevard, but we do not need them for the solution in search of a problem, which is that section that everybody seems to be opposing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are now going to hear from Gary Fisher, then Jake Steinman, Greg Moore, and Nancy Peterson. If you could kind of make your way up front, and I'll ask the audience to just hold their applause till the end. Thank you.
My name's Gary Fisher. I'm the guy. Come on, you guys. I mean, I only heard one solution from our good mayor on how to make that traffic better. I've got 4 big ideas. I'm not going to bore those ideas, the minutia of that at this moment. Okay. I know how things work. I mean, my family moved here in 1966. My father did Point Tiburon. He was the architect. He was a hell of a good racer at the yacht club, San Francisco Yacht Club, that is. And I have traveled the world and taken a lot of transit. Oh my God. And I wound up speaking at a lot of micromobility and actual transit. I've met the people in Paris that changed that place. And let me tell you, this city, this area has changed significantly since the pandemic. It's really changed. And we have a group of people now about their kids like crazy. I have a 7-year-old, I have a 10-year-old, I have a 17-year-old, I have a 19-year-old au pair from Germany. Okay, a month and a half ago, my 17-year-old got hit by a car right there on Tiburon, out there by the Standard Station. Guy was making an illegal turn and run. Yeah. Let me tell you, this has cost me some money and time with him. You know, he had a little crack under here. You know, it's been a big hassle. Okay, 1 week ago today,
My 10-year-old and my 19-year-old au pair got rear-ended on Tiburon Boulevard at Blackie's pasture. She was stopped at the light. I got really good friends at Waymo. You know, I got really good friends in the tech world. And I'll tell you what, this whole situation is going to change. And David Flannery says hello. He's my across the street neighbor, and he's going to help me because we're really good at propaganda and we want to get our way. We're sick and tired of the old way. The new way is the way and is going to happen. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. I think you always get your way, let me tell you. Okay, we're now moving on. We are moving on to Jake Steinman, followed by Greg Moore, Nancy Peterson, and Pam Snellgrove.
Yes, I'm Jake Steinman. I'm a resident on Greenwood Beach Road, and I've been there for 19 years. And there are 37 driveways on Greenwood Beach Road, and the road is basically a roller coaster. And we have cyclists on weekends that are a mix of the racing cyclists, weekend tourists that are barreling down that hill at 45, 50 miles an hour. Then you've got the e-bikes that are barreling up that hill at the same speed. And so I think it's a potentially dangerous, accident-prone location that can, we've been trying, I guess this bike lane has been somehow on the books for almost 50 years, since the 70s. And so I fully support it as a safety measure for Greenwood Beach Road and avoiding accidents that may take place in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now we have Greg Moore, Nancy Peterson, Pam Snellgrove, and Gabby Federal.
Good evening, everyone. The Greenwood Beach neighborhood supports the Caltrans project for its multiple benefits. As mentioned, the bike lanes for Tiburon Boulevard were first proposed 50 years ago. That is why these same bike lanes in the same locations in the Caltrans project have been endorsed in town, county, and state plans over many decades. The Caltrans project has significant and lasting merits. The project is fully funded, a true rarity when public agencies face decreasing budgets. If we delay the project's funding could be lost, or we will buy less in the future due to inflation. It is in our hands to steward this project forward and not lose the opportunity it presents. And clearly the bus stop issue that was mentioned should be solved in phase one. The Greenwood Beach neighborhood supports the Caltrans projects, including the project bike lanes. We acknowledge that some design refinements are needed and available. We strongly encourage the town council to help facilitate those refinements and keep the project moving forward. The phasing project was a last minute thing and too complicated for us to comment upon. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy Peterson, Pam Snellgrove, Gabby Federal, and Aubrey Federal, followed by Sissy Moeller and Bruce Abbott.
Hi, this is Nancy Peterson. I'm also a Greenwood Beach Road resident. And I want to speak specifically to the school safety issue and the use of Greenwood Beach Road as a safe routes to school. We totally support that. We've supported it for years. I also had a son who rode to every school that he went to in Tiburon. We help kids out when their bikes break down. We slow down in the morning. We watch carefully for them coming out of our driveways. So I want people to really understand that there's a different issue in terms of the safety for schools and the issues of safety and fast bikers. And we have an unsafe issue in terms of the growth in biking, the growth in fast biking, not just electric bikes, but very large groups that ride through our community. So I just I understand that there's a very disagreement in this room, but I think it's really important for you to think about that in that way.
Okay, I have Pam Snellgrove, Gabby Federal. Go ahead. Oh, Pam.
My printer broke, so I had to read from the screen. My name is Pam Snellgrove. I'm the property owner at 442 Greenwood Beach Road, which is located near the end of the dead end of the road. I'm 4 houses from where it dead ends. I've lived at this address for 38 years and by now have a long history of firsthand experience in the environment on the street. First, I'd like to speak to the current very real danger that exists every day on that street. There is a big difference between bicycling through it even once or twice a day and living there. To give you a tangible example, in a 10-day period, the middle of May, between 3:30 and 5 o'clock, within 10 days, walking my dogs, within 20 feet of the dead end of that street, I witnessed 3 bike accidents. One of them, man came off. They're going so fast down that hill. They have no idea of what the curb that they have to navigate to get through to Blackie's. One man came off on the pavement, was bloodied all over his arms and his legs, and I'm there with 2 dogs trying to pick him up. Within 2 or 3 days after that, I witnessed 2 other people, a man and a woman, come off of their road bikes, and thank God they hit the grass. Okay, this goes on all the time. It is not an exaggeration. The second thing that I'd like to say, I'm out. I'd just like to sneak this in. No one in this plan is not forcing anyone onto an available bike lane on Tiburon Boulevard. The people who will use it and take advantage of it are the people who are traveling, the fast road bikers, and the people who come over from the city in packs on rented bikes. And the rest can, ride on Greenwood Beach as they always have. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabby Federal, Aubrey Federal, followed by Cecil Muller and Bruce Abbott. If I get your name wrong, please correct me when you get to the mic.
Hi, my name is Gabi Federal, and my husband and I have lived on Greenwood Beach Road for 40 years, and we raised our children there. Our kids used to bike to school, and my husband is a bicyclist, and now our grandchildren come here to bike. We are not against bicyclists. About 10 years ago, Greenwood Beach Road became part of the official bike trail, and bicycle traffic increased dramatically, even more so during COVID and with the popularity of e-bikes. And that's when the problem started on our street. There is no sidewalk on Greenwood Beach Road, and unfortunately, pedestrians and bicyclists often use the whole width of the street as if it were a park, not understanding that they have to share the road with cars. And our end of Greenwood Beach Road is especially dangerous because it's downhill and bicyclists accelerate, often causing near collisions as residents back out of their driveway. It is in everyone's best interest to have a dedicated lane for road bicyclists along Tiburon Boulevard between the 76 gas station and Blackie's Pasture parking lot. The road bicyclist will benefit from having a dedicated bike lane along Tiburon Boulevard for a mile stretch and avoid meandering around cars and pedestrians on Greenwood Beach Road. Local residents and school students should be allowed on Greenwood Beach Road. I hope they get more road safety training though. This dedicated bike lane will improve the safety of our streets and neighborhood. Thank you.
Followed by Bruce Abbott, followed by Liz Burns.
You skipped over me. You skipped over me. It's okay.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Federal, Gabi's husband. I'm not going to reiterate everything that she has to say, but I would like to emphasize how amazed I am what a great job everyone has done planning for the traffic that's growing in our community. I'm a biker. My kids are bikers. We have nothing against bikers. We do have a problem that's been created by diverting these rental bike groups through our street, the Peloton through our street. In our street, a large number of the people that traverse our street are actually walking their dogs, and they walk in the middle of the street. The street is quite narrow. So I think it's a good idea to move as much bike traffic as is appropriate onto the Tiburon Boulevard as this group has proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I have Cecil Mueller, Bruce Abbott, Liz Bernstein, Steve Moed, Liz Webb, and Sally Wilkinson.
Hello. I'm Cecil Mueller. I live on Greenwood Beach Road and I've lived there since 1991. And I've noticed our neighborhood has changed from a quiet residential street to a bay trail. We have wonderful children who commute to school on our street and we love it. And we love seeing the children. And I hope that continues. But we would like to see this completed. This is a wonderful project that we have been hoping for since the Bay Trail decided to go unannounced through our neighborhood. It is incredibly dangerous, especially on the weekends. And some of you may not know this, but it's hordes of bicyclists at great speed that come down our road, and we are the last house before the closure. And I can't tell you how scary it is to try to get in and out of our driveway on the weekends. And we really appreciate what's being worked on and done here. Thank you.
Okay, we have Bruce Abbott, followed by Liz Bernstein.
Good evening to you all. I live on Greenwood Beach Road. My name is Bruce Abbott. I would like to say, first thing off the bat, I think we would be crazy to turn down the opportunity to put bike lanes on Tiburon Boulevard. That would go do a tremendous lot to improve the flow of traffic and take some of the pressure off of Greenwood Beach Road. Now, I second what I heard Pam Snellgrove say. I personally have witnessed the aftermath of at least 5 serious bicycle accidents in front of my house. By that, I mean people who fell off their bikes and got bloodied up. Additionally, some years ago, a young person had a terrible accident on Greenwood Beach Road and either, as my understanding, was killed or, as other people on my street think, were seriously injured. These are situations that we should not have to endure, and we don't have to endure that. We have opportunity now to relieve this terrible situation, and we should do it. We should do it in all haste. Thank you.
Okay. We are now Liz Bernstein, Steve Moazada, Liz Webb, Sally Wilkinson.
Hi, my name's Liz. I live at Tiburon Boulevard and Red Road Frontage Road, right by the maze that is to get on the freeway there. I rode my bike here today, and every time I get on my bike to ride, I have to deal with 2 lanes of cars getting on the freeway, merging over to be a bike and get in the center lane to cross over to get into Mill Valley. And it is very unsafe. And so I'm looking forward to this project changing that. I know it was only 5 years ago, but it definitely changed the way people ride their bike from Tiburon into Mill Valley. And being that I also live right there, I work from home, riding into Tiburon is my my go-to route. And so it would be great coming back from Trestle Glen that there was a bike path and not having to cross over and be in the population with the kids, the slower traffic, the people walking their dogs, and leave that for people who aren't as avid of a cyclist and let the ones who know what they're doing be in the faster lanes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have Steve Moazeda, Liz Webb, Sally Wilkinson, and I'm not sure if Victoria Grasso wants to speak. It's like crossed out, so go ahead.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Steve Moazed. I live in Mill Valley. I'm part of the Traffic and Mobility Advisory Committee as well. And our main goal is to reduce traffic in Mill Valley, especially around the pinch points of the schools. And that's why we think, we really only care about the kids coming from Strawberry to the Mill Valley Middle School, where I happen to teach. And a lot of the parents have voiced, concerns about having their kids on their bikes. And if there's a protected bike lane, they won't have that concern. And kids who bike to school are better students and more independent thinkers, better citizens in the future. There's a great book, by the way, by Dr. Peter Walker. It's called How Cycling Can Save the World. And it's got a euphoric title, but he's a really gifted journalist with the Guardian newspaper in England. And he's done a survey of all the cities around the world that have put in protected bike lanes. And it proves how it really improves so many things, public health, et cetera.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, Liz Webb, Sally Wilkinson, Victoria Grasso, if you want to speak. And then we have Thomas signed up twice. You only get to speak once. So go ahead. Sorry, Tom.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Liz Webb. I'm a Reed Union School District Board Trustee. I'm here tonight to say that the current proposal for bike lanes between Blackfield Drive and Trestle Glen are unsafe for our students. Buses will need to transverse the current bike lanes, and students will need to be loading and unloading buses where now faster riding bicyclists will be in competition with those students. We have students as young as 4 years old trying to riding these buses, and will be faced with this. It renders 4 bus stops essentially obsolete due to student safety. And in addition, students who ride their bikes to school would likely, if they're coming from Ring Mountain, will be wanting to, if rushing to school in the morning, might likely take Tiburon Boulevard as a faster route. And to assume that they would take Greenwood Beach Cove is not an assumption we can all make. Finally, I really appreciate Caltrans being open to a phased approach. Phase 1 does not address student safety. If we could take the bike lanes out of Phase 1 and put them in Phase 2 and do it right, that would be our proposal. If we can add broadband to Phase 1, can we please delay the process of adding bike lanes to Phase 1? Thank you.
Okay, so now I have Shelby Sy, Matthew Hartzell, and Aaron Jensen, followed by Park Allen and Urban Carmel. And Sally. Yes, Sally's first.
Hi, I'm Sally Wilkinson. I am the Vice Mayor of Belvedere, and I also sit on the Yellow Bus JPA, and I've actually been involved with that program since it launched 9 years ago as its first program manager. I'm a little embarrassed to say. It is the most effective program that we have for traffic mitigation in this community. It increases transit times by about 40%, and so it's very significant, far exceeding any impact from broadband. It is really disappointing to be presented with a proposal that is essentially saying that doesn't matter, that bus stops don't matter, that priority kids won't be able to get to school anymore because our bus provider has said they will not stop in bike lanes, which is the current proposal. That's a really disappointing thing to hear, and it isn't something that is prioritizing what I think is the wishes of the vast majority of people living on the Tiburon Peninsula. I'd also reiterate what Liz Webb has said, that there's no way to guarantee that kids will ride on Greenwood Cove Road. The ones in Belveron and Reed Ranch will almost certainly take that straight shoot to Bel Air School. And it is an unprotected bike lane for the vast majority of that route. And a kid will get killed. They're unsafe, they're unnecessary between Trestle Glen and Blackfield Drive, and they should be removed. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along to
Hi, thank you very much. Shelby Sy. I'm a trustee for the Reed Union School District. I was really surprised to see that your phase one was going to prioritize bike lanes over bus stops. We have, as you've heard, a functioning school bus program that transports hundreds of students every day. Not only does that take children off the board, not only does it take cars off the road, it brings students together, and it is a key community service to our low and middle income families that gets their kids to school. Phase one should prioritize bus stops that are ADA accessible, that have a safe place for 4 to 4-year-olds to wait for the bus, to access the bus. It should not be in conflict with bike lanes. Our current bus provider has said that they will not access the bus stops as they are currently in conflict with the bike lanes. I'll notice that you didn't even identify all of the bus stops on your map that you showed. Most of the bus stops, there's not sufficient width. According, the bus stop that you showed had a lot more width than some of the other bus stops. And I appreciate all of the attention to pedestrian safety, but I was really, really shocked to hear Safe Routes to Schools not mention bus safety. And I really think that bus safety needs to be the priority in phase one. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Matt Hussel, Director of Planning at WTB-TAM. Thank you to everyone from Caltrans for being here tonight and for listening so attentively to the community and for incorporating responses to the community's concerns into this project. Bottom line, we support the proposed phased delivery of this project, with phase one coming first and phase two coming later. We do also support keeping all of the proposed bike facilities in phase one. To the community members for whom traffic congestion is the #1 concern, I totally understand that. Tiburon Boulevard does have a lot of traffic. The best thing that anybody can do to improve the traffic situation is to build the bike lanes, because every additional trip made by a bicycle is a trip not made by a car. And so when you reduce car trips, you reduce the #1 source of congestion, which is too many single occupancy cars on the road. Carpool is good as well. And finally, it's okay to have parallel facilities that are geared towards different types of users, such as a slower route for students and slower riding on Greenwood Beach Road and the faster route on Tiburon Boulevard. These two things are complements, not they don't conflict with each other. And then, thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have Aaron Jensen, Park Allen. And then Urban Carmel.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for engaging with everybody here in our community. I'm a resident, lives off of Reed Ranch Road. I'm also a bicycle commuter. I commute into the city regularly, all over our streets. I've got 2 young teenagers. They're both drivers. They've had to learn how to drive and navigate some of the frightening kind of merging lanes and the pork chops and the antiquated sort of 1950s sort of style kind of merging that we have around here. You'd think it might get a little better with 101, might have regressed a little bit. But I guess I want to say this project is a major project for our community. There's not a project of this scale or of this magnitude that anybody in this room could probably point to. And it's clear to me that we're really needing to kind of revise and update our participation. We're talking about things that happened 10 or 20 or 40 or 50 years ago. Well, we appreciate that,
there's a lot of people here that have not been here that long. You know, I've lived in this community since 2009. This was not on my radar screen, or I would have been involved. So I'd just like to encourage us to, you know, pursue the phased delivery of this. I'd encourage us to really establish some task forces and some committees here that are made up of residents that live here. These people are confused. They don't even understand the terminology. There's a lot of technical jargon that we're throwing around. There's a lot of colored dashed lines that are, you know, frankly impossible to read from the majority of people in this room. You put up a drawing that's a perspective view of a photo where you overlay what the actual bus stop looks like. That we understand. And I'll point out, I'm an architect, so I get drawings too. But I also understand that most people don't understand that. And it takes a little bit of effort to kind of bring people on board with what's happening. And, you know, for a project that's about $12.5 million, 11 million is great. You know, there's good stuff. We've seen the length of this. You got a lightning rod here for one little quarter-mile section. Let's resolve this. Let's get everybody to the table. Let's resolve it. I think it can be done. So keep up the good work. Let's see, come away with our next step.
Okay, go ahead, Park, followed by Urban Carmel.
Hi, Will. Park Allen, 10-year vet on the park's open space and trails. I served with a couple of you and friends with many in the room. I think you've heard that the stretch between Blackies and Blackfields is the problem. As a cyclist, as a parent, that bikes should be on Greenwood Beach Road. There was a study done that was presented to Post that was brilliantly done about how to improve bike travel through that section. And they said absolutely not, that there should be no bikes pushed to Tiburon Boulevard because of speed, because that would be great cost to make it actually separated. And it's important, but I think that the rest of the plan is fine. What I'd like to see is more study done on that specific section, because that section, if you could make improvements to Greenwood Beach Road, perhaps widen it in some way, separate a bike lane so that they have a place to you know, the bikes go in one place and cars and pedestrians can go in another. I'd like to explore that. This feels very rushed. I'd like more time to talk about it. Thanks.
Thank you. We have Urban Carmel, followed by Tendor Jones, Kimberly McGrath, Francis Barber, and Ann and Jerry Butler.
Hi, everybody. My name is Urban Carmel. I'm on the Mill Valley City Council. I've been on the Transportation Authority Board for 6 years. I'm also on the Executive Committee of the Transportation Board for Safe Routes to School. Thank you, first of all, City of Tiburon, for holding this meeting, for Caltrans for being here, and for allowing everybody to speak. I'm here to talk about the least contentious part about this entire project. I'm not here to talk about Beechwood Grove Road, whatever it's called, Trestle Glen, any of that kind of thing. In 2020, my first year on the city council, we built the Class 4 bike lane that connects the Sausalito Mill Valley multi-use path, which is the most highly visited park in our county, to 101. The most important project that we can complete for the 30,000 residents of Mill Valley in the next 5 years is to have that bike lane continue over 101 to East Strawberry Drive. That is the single most important project that we could complete. That would allow hundreds of students every day to travel over the highway to the Mill Valley Middle School, to Tam High School. It would allow hundreds of students every day to get to soccer practice, to baseball practice, to softball practice, to basketball practice, to swim team. It would allow thousands of residents of Strawberry to go to our community center, to get to our library, to do shopping in our city. This is a very significant project for the city of Mill Valley. It is the most important project for the city of Mill Valley. Happily, it's the least contentious portion of this project for Caltrans and for Tiburon and for Belvedere. I urge you to please prioritize this project to move ahead. Last point, I've been in city government now for almost 10 years. The thing which I have learned more than anything else, funding is incredibly hard to get. Once you've got funding, do not let go of that funding. I urge you to proceed with at least phase 1 to use that funding to complete parts of the project that you can. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have Tendor Jones, Kimberly McGrath, Francis Barber, and Brittany Hannig.
Hi there.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks for all being here. Thank you for putting your presentation together. Name's Tudor Jones. Born and raised on Greenwood Beach Road, left for college, came back, and now I'm raising my 9-month-old daughter in the same house I grew up on. And I've seen growing traffic, growing congestion. I've seen the different attitudes that are held by the children that ride that road and the adult cyclists who ride that road. And luckily, the children are getting older who ride appropriately on that road. Used to be 7, 8, 9-year-olds. Now it's 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds. The people who aren't changing are the adults, the people who come in on the weekends. They should know better, but they ride 3 astride across all the lanes. I have to drive on the left side of the road in the opposing lane of traffic to get home to avoid the driveways on the right side. The reason I do that is because I'm conscious of the blind nature of all of the residents who have to back out of their driveways. So there's 37, 25, whatever number there are. You do a study, number of driveways of people have to back out. There will be an accident. I'm not going to say there's going to be a death because I'm not alarmist here, but you guys are all on notice that there are blind driveways on Greenwood Beach Road and residents who are presently driving in fear and pulling out of their driveways, afraid that they're going to be contacted by speeding bicyclists. So keep the kids on Greenwood Beach Road and get the adult cyclists off. Thank you.
Hey, we have our superintendent, Kimberly McGrath.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate you allowing this forum and for listening. Dr. Kimberly McGrath, I'm the superintendent of Reed Union School District, which serves Belvedere, Tiburon, on the east side of Corte Madera, and as it's been mentioned, pre-K through 8th graders. I am definitely not an expert on traffic design, or I'm not sure I could tell you what bend out design means, but I do know a thing or two about kids and really care about their safety, and I'm sure you do as well. Our primary concerns revolve around the functionality and the safety of existing bus stops. These serve our students. The design just absolutely cannot eliminate 4 bus stops around the area that has been mentioned repeatedly. There needs to be sufficient space for school buses to pull safely, completely out of the flow of traffic. There needs to be dedicated and safe areas outside of bike lanes for students to be able to wait for, load, unload school buses. Another concern that's been mentioned, so I won't say too much about it, is just the safety of our student cyclists. We do promote that safe route along Greenwood Beach Road, and we would have concerns about diverting students to a busy Tiburon Boulevard. So just thank you very much for considering the concerns. We appreciate you listening. We do look forward to a design that prioritizes the safety of all of our road users, including our cyclists and our very important bus stops. Please ensure that continued safe operation of our school buses can take place. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I have Francis Barber, Brittany Hannig, Kathy McLeod, and Albert Ricanto.
My name's Frances Barber. I live in Belveron East, and I've been a resident in Tiburon since 2008. I have an e-bike class 3, which, by the way, I'm not legally allowed to ride on the pathway. I'm supposed to ride on Tiburon Boulevard, which I think is silly because even the service vehicles can go faster than 15 or 28, whatever. But I have I think I have almost 13,000 miles on that e-bike. I got it in 2020. And I would say a lot of those trips have me leaving and getting onto Tiburon Boulevard to go over to the Nugget, as opposed to crossing Tiburon Boulevard twice. So there's probably a number of us that do use the shoulder on Tiburon Boulevard. I don't need a bike lane per se. I need a clean shoulder that doesn't have encroaching ice plants and other things that are taking over it. I just need a wide shoulder. And I don't think that would encourage kids to use it, but it definitely would encourage cyclists not to have to cross Tiburon Boulevard twice if they don't need to get to certain places. time's up. But I would also like to ask, I've been asking this for a long time on Trestle Glen, a bike sensor stencil in the middle of the road between the right and left-hand turn lanes to trip a light signal short enough for a bike to get across and not to have a pedestrian crossing signal that takes longer to stop traffic either way. And then the little green bike light, you know, that they now have would be great. As for the class 4, I see there's a lot of land over there. Maybe we could actually separate it 100% from the road and have it be like a bike freeway. Just a thought. Thank you.
Okay, we have Brittany Hanning, followed by Kathy McLeod, Albert Pachinko, and Darren Ween.
Hello, thank you so much for giving us all this opportunity this evening. Wanted to speak up after having a lovely conversation with our mayor yesterday evening. She was explaining to me about the broadband opportunity that we have, how that would give us a unique and timely opportunity to, of course, improve broadband, of course, and then also just to connect it with our traffic lights, because everyone's been screaming from the rooftops, the traffic is a primary issue. And so if we could have those updates where we can in real time change the lights based on schools, based on all the things we've been hearing about tonight, huge advantage. So my second, I guess, more relevant point to bicycling, this time last year, I was in a pretty bad bicycle accident that besides my clumsiness, my maiden name is Klutsky, could have been prevented probably by a bicycle lane. And the other fun facts about that story, this was going from Corinthian Island to Mill Valley. On the way, of course, I'm a motorcyclist. I was very overly confident in my abilities. That was silly in retrospect. But I drove by kind of giggling in a way, like, oh, there is a bicyclist accident. There's another bicyclist accident. And then actually, to get to the ER, I tried to go to the urgent care in Mill Valley. I couldn't get into that urgent care because there was a bicycle accident. I was the 4th bicycle accident. And clearly there's an issue here. It concerns me the number of children that we've been hearing about that are involved. I don't have children myself, but I can definitely have sympathy for that safety is important, traffic is important, broadband is important. These are all important issues, but because this is such a largely well-funded project, we owe it to the justice of thinking through the route, the thoughtful planning, listening to the neighbors in the community like you're doing right now. So thank you. I really appreciate the time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so our next speakers are Kathy McLeod, Albert Richinko, Darren Ween, followed by Sandy Donnell and Devani Lynch.
Hi, Kathy McLeod. I live in Belvron and I'm an avid cyclist. This is the way that I go. I like to ride on Tiburon Boulevard because I don't want to wait there's a no right turn on Tiburon Boulevard also. So if I press the button, this no right turn comes on, and so it blocks up the traffic. It's easier for me and the traffic for congestion wise to just keep going on Tiburon Boulevard, take a right, keep going, and I'm going where I want to go, down to Mill Valley, going down to the Cove. And I have pinch points along the way. So here's me, and the bank is falling into the road. So I have to swerve out into the lane. And it's dangerous. So we really need the bike lanes, and safe bike lanes is a must. We really need a shoulder, no matter what Francis was saying is so true. We don't necessarily have to have kids, and we would never ask kids to go on Tiburon Boulevard especially if there were no protective barriers. But we have to have a bike lane on the north side because most of the people who live in Tiburon live on the north side. And we're just, I'm also the supervisor for the crossing guards. So I know what's going on at each one of these intersections where we have crossing guards, and I'm over there all the time. I'm out and in the very time that traffic is going for the schools. So I'm seeing people riding their bikes, coming down Avenida Miraflores in the morning, there's one guy, he comes every single morning and he turns left to go on Tiburon Boulevard, not even on the four-way part, but he's going to go and get on that skinny, narrow uphill section and go right into Tiburon, because as soon as you get up over that section, it turns into a bigger shoulder. There's people who come from the city that will continue on these bike lanes and they don't know where to go. They're just going to keep going on Tiburon Boulevard. And there needs to be at least, something for people who lose their way, and just keep cutting back the foliage that comes down is just falling into the road. So whatever right of way that they can really separate and get clear.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
I know I've passed my time, but thank you.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Okay,
And I
now,
definitely need the bike lanes. This is a godsend,
thank
including
you. Thank you.
the
Okay.
funding.
Thank you. Albert, Rachinko, Darren, Ween. And we have Sandy, Donald, Delaney, Lynch, and Ray Lynch. Okay, I'm not seeing those people come up, so I'm going to ask us to,
To go.
okay, great, great. No, we,
Hey all.
yes, perfect.
Now, I'm Darren Ween. I'm a
Darren.
20-year resident here in Tiburon. I now live and have for the last 6 years at the top of Cecilia in the Tiburon Highlands. And I want to talk about something else. So everybody, I know. I'd like to talk about the dedicated left-hand turn lane from Cecilia Way, Upper Cecilia Way, onto eastbound Tiburon Boulevard. That has been an issue that has been addressed in surveys. Caltrans has asked about it, and I'm flummoxed that it's not in the plan. It is among the greatest safety issues in town because Cecilia Way, Upper Cecilia Way, has 40 plus houses and hundreds of apartment complexes, which yields a massive number of residents who have no other outlet to east or westbound Tiburon Boulevard other than getting onto Tiburon Boulevard. There are no access roads. So without a dedicated left-hand turn lane in the same way that Reed Range Road has a dedicated left-hand turn lane for the exact same reason, it's just a giant cul-de-sac, you have to take a chance. Now let's roll the dice and see what happens. You often get accidents there. Now let's stick a class 4 bike lane in there and see what happens. I wonder if, we're increasing the likelihood of a problem. So my first request beyond let's reduce the number of chances that we have of bike problems is please a dedicated left-hand turn lane into the plan. There's only a small amount of foliage that you have to remove from the center median to do that. And you will now reduce the likelihood of accidents of people who are forced to make that left-hand turn every day and multiply it by hundreds. Lastly, I'd like to say, we're all here for safety. It's wonderful to see this many people here who take a vested interest in it. I don't think we need to kill an ant with a hammer. Sometimes we just need to look at the problem, and that is, how safe can we make bike traffic on Greenwood Cove? Well, maybe we just need to figure out a way to slow people down. There is not a God-given right to drive or ride your bike fast. If we want to ride bikes, let's ride them slowly and safely. How can we do that? Well, let's brainstorm ideas on how we could possibly do that and save the poor residents of Greenwood Cove, the problems of getting out of their driveway. Maybe a speed bump might work. Thanks, guys.
It's now Sandy, Donald, Delaney, Lynch, and Ray Lynch. So if you guys could please come up.
Hi, I'm Sandy Donnell, and I live in Belvedere. And I've lived here for quite some time. So I have two issues. One is I can't believe phase 1 would put in bike lanes and not consider safety. That why safety would not be the #1 issue in phase 1. So I just think that's absurd. And I am very sympathetic for the people on Greenwood Beach Road. I wrote a letter concerning that. I think there should be more attention. I agree with the gentleman before me. How do you make Greenwood Beach Road safe for those people? The driveways are on one side of the road. There's the church on the other side of the road, which is going to be a fire station for a while. Make a dedicated bike lane with walls so that bike lane does not interfere with the people who live on that street. That would be my solution to that problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have Delaney Lynch. Is Delaney here? Thank you.
Hi, Delaney Lynch. I live out on Paradise Drive. I've heard talk of various controversial aspects of this plan, but I haven't heard mention once yet tonight of what this is going to do to Paradise Drive, which is already a bad situation. It perhaps makes Tiburon Boulevard safer, but it is guaranteed to make Paradise Drive more dangerous for everybody. I'm not opposed to kids biking to school and families biking out to Paradise Park, but I am opposed to the groups of cyclists that the Greenwood Beach residents are concerned about. Now just having greater access to come in large numbers and continue their already horrific behavior when safety is not included in phase 1 of this plan. We do no enforcement of bike laws that I've ever witnessed. I run on Paradise Drive, I run through town. I have never seen cyclists pulled over here. I saw it happen in Sausalito last weekend. It has not happened here. I have significant concern about the lack of thought or plan to approach this holistically, which means including Paradise Drive, which itself is half of the Tiburon Peninsula. With the amount of money and resources going to this, we should not be proceeding without factoring Paradise Drive into the plan. This is going to exponentially exacerbate a problem before we even stop to create a solution that includes the whole peninsula.
Thank you so much. We are now moving to online comments. Lee, could you please have our first caller go?
First, going to recognize Nathan Spindle.
Oh, is there one more? Okay, please come up. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mel Ronick. We've lived in Tiburon. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Caltrans for coming tonight and hearing both sides of this dilemma that we seem to be facing. Anyway, my wife and I have lived in Tiburon for over 55 years. And for the last 40 years, we've biked thousands of miles in the county, in the Western states, in Europe, and even Mozambique. So we're pretty into biking, and I'm 86 and we're still biking. We still do TAM and everything. We've never felt unsafe. Excuse me. We've never felt unsafe riding on Greenwood Beach Road. And hearing the comments from the owners, I think they have some really valid comments. And I think other people have said it, put in bike lanes, maybe put a stop sign at the bottom of that last hill, put a sign that says stop sign ahead so that bikers know there's a danger ahead. I mean, they have some valid points that could be easily addressed. So over 3,300 Tiburon Peninsula residents have signed a letter objecting to the Caltrans proposed bike lanes, whereas only 20 of the Greenwood Beach people have endorsed the plan. Yet they seem to be in control from what I'm hearing. There's nothing dangerous about riding a bike on Greenwood Beach Road. And we have a safe route for our bikes. And if I had a choice of riding on Tiburon Boulevard or riding on Greenwood Beach Road, I would definitely ride on Greenwood Beach Road anytime, anywhere. And when I think of my daughter who went through the Reed School District, I would never have allowed her to ride on Tiburon Boulevard. There are cars going 40, 50 miles an hour. It's unprotected even if you have those poles. We know people have been telling us about getting rear-ended. My wife just got sideswiped at Trestle Glen by some woman who was in a hurry. We have problems here, we really do. But there are ways around it. Too many cars, drivers are texting and they're on their cell phones.
Thank you so much.
And the thing with the kids, we said, well, the kids will be allowed to ride on Greenwood Beach Road. But some kids are going to ride on Tiburon Boulevard, And once some kids do it, the other kids are going to think, oh, that's cool. That's what I'm going to do. So it's not an automatic, they're going to stay on Greenwood Beach Road.
Thank you so much. If you could finish, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank
Yeah,
you.
just that I'll finish at that point.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
We have one more person who was on the list. If you could just come up and state your name, and then we're going to go to online, folks online.
Good evening. My name is Ray Lynch, and the one thing I can say for certainty is I think I've lived here in Tiburon longer than anybody else in this room. I was born here, and I remember Greenwood Beach when it was a only road into town, but I think they have a legitimate problem there. I know most of my friends here tonight, and I know how fearful it is to come out of your driveway or whatever and have a bicycle doing 20, 30. And I saw a lot of the bicyclists saying, oh, that doesn't happen, but it does. As my daughter attested to out on Paradise Drive, it's equally as bad. But I think the real issue is, she alluded to a little bit, is we don't have enough enforcement. I heard the gentleman just before me talk about stop signs and whatnot. And I think everybody in this room sees every bicyclist in town blowing through a stop sign, and it's never a stop. And I think that it all goes back to maybe a little bit of that stuff we had at Del Mar or Bel Air School back in the day, where you got your report card and it said on the back of it, there was a check and it said plays well with others. And that's missing today. And I think there's your problem. The second part of it is, I think Caltrans has totally jumped the gun on this. I think that their ultimate next solution will be, they're notorious for K-rails and zipper rails, and that's the only solution that they have when you put that bike lane on Tiburon Boulevard, which is probably the better place than Greenwood Beach. The last thing I'll say is, I spent 45 years in the fire department here, and I picked up an awful lot of bicyclists. The only dead one we ever picked up was a 10-year-old boy out at Blackie's pasture. Coming down into town, he wanted to cross the road, get into the small side of Belveron, 4:30 in the afternoon, car coming out of town, glare in the sun, and killed the boy instantly. And I think you're pushing that into a second occurrence with the way this plan is conceived right now, because people are not they're gonna come down that and want to go across that. And right now there's no crosswalk, but that's going to be a big problem. This plan needs a lot of work. That's all I got.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the online callers. If you could please go to them, Lee.
We'll first recognize Nathan Spindle.
Hello. My family has lived in the Belveron neighborhood for 40 years, a few houses up from Tiburon Boulevard. Our family now spans 3 generations from age 5 to age 78. Around Tiburon, we drive, walk, and 5 of us frequently bike. We strongly support the proposed protected bike lanes for the entire length of Tiburon Boulevard. This project improves access and safety for everyone, drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists of all ages. Despite today's stated concerns, I'm confident that school bus stops and protected bike lanes can safely coexist. Once they're built, the bus operators will understand how to safely navigate them. Vehicle fatalities are the #1 leading cause of death for ages 1 to 54. Protected bike lanes are proven to calm traffic, reduce vehicle speeds, and reduce fatalities and serious injuries. If you seriously care about making our streets safer for children and students, the clear solution is to build these protected bike lanes. Thank you.
Thank you. The next caller, please, Lee.
Next is Jelly Woodring.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity and for this meeting. My name is Deli Woodring. I live in Belvedere. In addition to concern about the safety of bikers, I'm concerned about the well-being of the many drivers on Tiburon Boulevard, especially with the proposed narrowing of the traffic lanes. One little nick of one of these fast riders in these big groups that people are talking about, who strays out of the bike lane could change a driver's life forever. I'm in favor of all safety measures being done at once, and I hope that you can do it right the first time after much more conversation. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else online?
Next is Lydia Graham.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm a resident of Greenwood Beach Road, and I just wanted to say that I totally support the project of building bike lanes on Tiburon Boulevard. I actually am terrified to pull out of my driveway every day, but I wanted to also say that someone mentioned there are 37 pullouts in and out on Greenwood Beach Road, but we also have the Cove Apartments, which actually has 300 residents, according to the internet. And I wanted to point out for those that have mentioned the possibility of putting a bike lane on Greenwood Beach Road, that that's not really a viable solution because the road is already so narrow and cars park on either side of the road. But even if they didn't, there's really no room for a bike lane. Although a speed bump might be a good idea. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online, Lee?
Seeing none.
Okay, so I want to close by thanking everybody for coming. And I want to let you know this is the first opportunity. There are going to be others and other opportunities for public input. If you have not signed into the sheet, there are sheets in the back. That is how Caltrans will keep you updated on the project. I want to see if our supervisor has any closing comments. So I just, again, want to stress that tonight is the beginning. It's a new beginning. And your voices are being heard. Your input is being considered. Please keep it coming. Don't be shy. And together, we're going to build the best project ever. I think we have one. Did you want to say something?
If I may, Mayor.
Yes, you may. Please go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Mayor and Supervisor and the council for allowing us the opportunity to come here and listen to you, to engage with you and to present, what our project really, we hear you. We're committed to really talk about the needs and really tackle the challenge together. I mean, our challenge here is, we have the pavement condition that are breaking apart, as you can see now. We have obviously, bike connectivity, bus, pedestrian. And so how do we collectively really balance the needs as well as prioritize and maximize the resources that we have, the money that we have and the time that we have, so get something done as soon as possible. So really appreciate that. We will continue to work with the town staff, on the project, whether to incorporate as much of the feature as early as possible, as well as opportunities on adding or incorporating the broadband feature as well. But this is, as the mayor expressed, just the the first part. We are committed to be here to address the remainder, because the needs obviously are here and we're here. So please continue to engage with us. We're here. If anything, contact us and we'll be happy to come back and present. But our goal is really to maximize and balance and get something done as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. I'm
Can
gonna.
council members make a comment too?
Uh,
If it's just 30 seconds?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead,
So,
please.
so my just question for Caltrans, like, what is, some gentleman proposed that there might be working groups that might work together on creating a solution that would be good for everybody. And one thing that's been frustrating is like, you come here and you listen to people, but you have not engaged with the elected officials of Tiburon at all, and we represent all the people. So in terms of like channeling ideas and marshaling ideas to then work with you, I would think that would be a good avenue. But you've really kind of not engaged with the Tiburon Council at all. And so I'm curious, are you open to sort of getting a working group of various elected officials who their respective councils appoint, and then sort of working on a solution that they believe their constituents really want? Because at the end of the day, like, that's the one thing that's missing from this whole process is I'm elected to know the opinions of my constituents, and I've never been asked what they are. So you got this sample, and I appreciate them coming and giving you their opinion, but there are 9,500 other people on this peninsula who are not here tonight whose opinions are just as valuable. And we are the people who should be delivering those opinions to you. Do you have are you willing to engage at that level with the elected officials to make something better happen?
We will be glad to work with you on put together a task force that is representative of the different neighborhoods or different communities in Tiburon or adjacent. Consisting of residents of various groups and elected officials. We have some models in other communities. We'll be happy to discuss with you. Especially important as we're looking at phase 2, we need to be on the same page on what that's going to be before we go and try to secure or pursue that funding. And we're committed to do that, but we absolutely will be essential and we'll be glad to work with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I think that we have one more comment from Councilmember Nick Farr, who I also want to thank for helping us put this together tonight. I did not say that in the beginning, and I apologize.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the folks from Caltrans and members of our community and surrounding communities for coming in. The sort of piece that we didn't talk a lot about tonight is that Tiburon Boulevard also has really crippling traffic coming from downtown to 101. And so I think one of the pieces that gets a little bit lost in the sauce here when we're talking about bike safety and bike lanes and other things like that, and reducing the size of lanes and bringing down the speed limit, is that those will not have, at least maybe I'm incorrect, but shrinking lanes, adding bikes, decreasing speed limits aren't going to have a positive impact on traffic. And when it already takes 40 to 50 minutes to go, less than 4 miles, this is something that needs to be a part of that process. And maybe it goes into phase 2. I think I agree with the majority of consensus here, which is, we definitely need to pave, Tiburon Boulevard, but we're conducting a traffic study, which is nearing completion. And I think that needs to be taken into account heavily in phase 2. And as we're thinking about, I think it's great that people cycle for recreation and you get their heart rates up and get good exercise, but we can't sacrifice people that want to leave downtown and get to 101 for recreation, unfortunately. So I think that needs to be taken into account in all of this.
Thank you. Yes, please go ahead, Councilmember Fredericks.
I just wanted to acknowledge the Traffic Safety Committee's role in working with Caltrans and hoping that even if we phase it, we will be able to produce the final project that's consistent with the upcoming traffic safety recommendations. Just in general, I'm hearing that people's concerns are bike and bus conflicts, even with the bulb outs, the loss of yellow buses because the stops don't meet their safety criteria, and then what I just mentioned, the opportunity to be consistent for this project at the end to be consistent with the town ongoing traffic safety recommendations. I think we all look forward to working with you and are very grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. And again, I want to thank everyone. And I want to thank Caltrans. I want to thank Safe Routes to Schools. I want to thank all of the stakeholders and most importantly, all of our residents who came out to speak tonight. We do have a town council meeting right now. So I'm going to ask you to say goodbye, and hopefully we will see you very soon. And again, thank you for coming. This is really important and great feedback.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah.
I'm a foreign mayor.